Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavadapa Girivaladhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana. Thank you. Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna is the lover of Radha. He displays many amorous pastimes in the groves of Vrindavan. He is the lover of the cowherd maidens of Vraj, and he is the holder of the great hill named Govardhan. He is the beloved son of Mother Yashoda, the daughter of the inhabitants of Vraj, and he wanders in the forest along the banks of the river Yamuna. We offer our respectful obeisances unto him. Om Ajnanatamyandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshurunmanitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Dhanavir Goswami Niti Namane Prabhupada Manomistam Vrajabhavam Smavistam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Namni Kohinavinam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskachadi Satayane Vanchakalpa Triyabhyascha Kripa Sindhu Behevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So I am fully indebted to Sri Guru because he has given so many matchless gifts. Our dear Srila Prabhupada has given us the topmost jewel. He's given us the highest conception and he's of life, and he's given us the holy names of Krishna. So I aspire to engage all of my thoughts, all of my aspirations, all of my ideals, my everything in the service to him. He's also given us some very important mantras that awaken the heart to specific tastes, specific love and mood of service to the Divine Personality of Godhead. So we're forever indebted to him for this and for a lifetime of service to Sri Sri Radha Govinda. So we take Srila Prabhupada as our divine topmost inspiration in navigating this journey through these murky waters in the material ocean. Boarding his ship is surely the only shelter for the souls in such a predicament. And I really thank the assembled Vaishnavas for being here to patiently hear from Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm being given another opportunity to speak, and I really thank the management for this opportunity, and I really see it as the grace of my Guru and the grace of Srila Prabhupada. So thank you. I'm not qualified at all to be speaking, but just please be patient. And it is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam that the saints, they're very eager to hear the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam, even if they're composed by, an unqualified and lowly person such as myself. Even the mere attempts of glorifying Krishna is indeed relished by the great saints. So I can recognize everyone assembled as such. So let us, in all humility, take shelter of Srila Prabhupada, and I beg for his blessing so I may be able to speak something. So today we'll be continuing with the 4th canto, chapter 9, text 53. And since 53 doesn't have a purport, we'll read text 54 as well. So I'll just read 53, and then we can read text 54 together. Lalyamanam janerevyam dhruvam sobrataram nripaha Aropya karinim hishtaha stuyamano visyapuram. The sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, when everyone was thus praising Dhruva Maharaj, the king was very happy, and he had Dhruva and his brothers seated on the back of a she-elephant. Thus he returned to his capital, where he was praised by all classes of men. Text 54. Tatra tatro pasan klipter lashan makara taranahai savranandai kaldai stambahai bhugopatascha tadvadahai. So we'll go together. Tatra tatro pasak klipter lasan makara taranahai savrindai kadali stambahai Bhuga potascha tadvidahai tata tatro pasan klipter lasan makara taranai savrindai kadali stambahai Bhuga potascha tadvidahai tata tatro pasan klipter lasan makara toranahai savrindai kadali stambai Bhuga potascha tadvidahai. Devotees, Tatra tatso pasan kliptair lasan makara toranahai Tatra tatso pasan kliptair Sarvandai Kalmandi Stambai. Anyone else? Tatra Tatro Pasan Klipter Asan Makara Tarodanai Sarvana Kandali Stambai Ugopatas Chadai Vidahai. Tatra Tatra, here and there. Upasan Kliptahai, set up. Lasat, brilliant. Makara, shark-shaped. Taranahai, with arched gateways. Savrindahai, with bunches of fruits and flowers. Kadali, of banana trees. Stambahai, with columns. Bhugabodhai, with young betel nut trees. Cha, also. Tatvidahai, of that kind. Translation and purport given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The whole city was decorated with columns of banana trees containing bunches of fruits and flowers, and betel nut trees with leaves and branches were also seen here and there. There were also many gates set up which were structured to give the appearance of sharks. Purport: auspicious ceremonies with decorations of the green leaves of palms, coconut trees, betel nut trees, and banana trees and fruits, flowers and leaves are an age-old custom in India. To receive his great son Dhruva Maharaj, King Uttanapad arranged a good reception, and all the citizens very enthusiastically took part with great jubilation. Okay, so I'll read the translations one more time. Maybe we could do a call and response for both of them. The sage Maitreya continued, "My dear Vidura, when everyone was thus praising Dhruva Maharaj, the king was very happy, and he had Dhruva and his brother seated on the back of a she-elephant. Thus he returned to his capital, where he was praised by all classes of men. The whole city was decorated with columns of banana trees containing bunches of fruits and flowers, and betel nut trees with leaves and branches were seen here and there. There were also many gates set up which structured to give the appearance of sharks. Hare Krishna. So we see here that everyone is honoring and praising Dhruva Maharaj after he is returning from his austerities in the forest. To give honor and praise to somebody is a principle that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu often illustrated. He's our prime example of how to be a devotee, and he came to show us how to do just that. So he honored his spiritual master by the pastime where Ishvara Puri was asking, will you please help go through and translate my body of work, the book that I've been working on? And Mahaprabhu was saying, how can I find any fault in such a person who is just trying to praise the Lord? You're a perfect devotee of the Lord, so going through your book, how can I find any fault in this? So he was praising him in this way. He also praised him when he went to Gaya, and he fell at his feet, begging for his mercy. So even the Lord himself, Nimai Pandit, at the time, who was such a learned scholar, he too had to accept a spiritual master, even though he knew everything. So he took the humble position and giving praise to the devotees. So he showed us as our principal acharya to always be trying to praise the devotees. And in fact, there is one verse stating that to praise the devotees is the most blissful activity in the entire universe. One of our acharyas speaks like this. So it's absolutely true. And even in times where Lord Chaitanya was in different situations where the person receiving his blessing may not have been so happy to receive it, like Keshava Kashmiri or the traveling pundit. Oh, he was going out all of the different places, where all the scholars were, all over Bharatvarsh in Keshava Kashmiri. He was a very learned scholar, and he was defeating everyone. He was going from place to place, and when he came to Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu defeated him, but he did it in such a gentle way that Keshava Kashmiri, he felt respected. And in fact, when Nimai Pandit's students started laughing at his obvious defeat, he actually hushed the students and he quieted them and he showed them, you must respect this very learned person. Even though this is my so-called competitor in this situation, he is coming to debate with me. He did it with such love and in such a gentle way that it's a prime example of offering respects even to everyone. Trinadapi sunichena turapi saishnu. He was more humble than a blade of grass. He's always able to see everyone as his teacher, and he's always to give respect to everyone. So there's that verse, Amara Bhaktera Puja Amala Hoite Bada from Chaitanya Bhagavat. Worship of my devotee is greater than worship of me. So Lord Chaitanya was showing us this by accepting a spiritual master, and he would worship all of his devotees. Many of his devotees he was busy glorifying. There's so many pastimes in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita where great lengths of the entire chapter is just the Lord and his devotees offering obeisances to one another and glorifying one another. So the devotees, they can extract great nectar and they relish these great topics of the devotees, glorifying one another. When Keshava Kashmiri was defeated, he was initially very upset because he had this nature to be a little puffed up and go around and defeat everyone. But he was kindly instructed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to go back and take some rest. And when he took rest, none other but Sri Saraswati Devi herself appeared to him in a vision, a transcendental dream, and showed that Mahaprabhu is not different than the personality of Godhead, Krishna. And so originally he was distraught, but after he connected with Krishna, then he was pacified. And I was thinking in relation to this, that when ourselves we feel hurt or anything, it's because we're not directly connecting that moment with Krishna. Like our only feeling of hurt, and I'm talking material hurt, of course you can feel hurt on a spiritual level as well, but I'm speaking of more like on that platform. But then as soon as Keshava Kashmiri was able to connect it with Krishna, this is non-different, he's non-different than Krishna, then he was pacified and he went to praise Mahaprabhu the next day. So it's the same for us. This is why when one becomes a Vaishnava, his conditionings are of a nature to do everything only for the pleasure of Shri Radha Govinda or Shri Guru. So eventually our conditioning, it's no longer in a covered state, and we can become awakened to our eternal conditioning, which is to just do everything for the pleasure of Krishna. And this is the state of real renunciation, because without being absorbed in the bliss of doing everything for Radha Govinda and not in turn not having to think of anything to give for yourself, because you're so absorbed in trying to serve Radha Govinda. So the devotees, they learn how to do this in different aspects of their day, in every single function of their day. Even the most simple thing, like brushing your teeth, can be connected to the most esoteric thing in meditation. And you could be completely in another realm brushing your teeth and just barely conscious of the act of brushing your teeth. Because we learn to stimulate everything around us. We learn everything around us to act as a stimulation for remembering Krishna. So in order to get to this stage, we have to hear a lot about Krishna. And then naturally, everything becomes a stimuli to remind us of Krishna. Whereas in our conditioned state, everything reminds us of Maya, and we have to really force it. It's like when you're chanting your rounds, like at the beginning it said that the devotee, he sounds like a bird, like helplessly flapping his wings. Or I've heard some devotees describe, like some devotees in the boxing ring, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Like he's really boxing his way out of Maya, you know. But then when a devotee becomes a little more advanced, his rounds, they take a steady nature. And the chanting, it said, starts to take the back burner, and the mantra, it starts repeating continuously in his heart. And the pastimes start taking the forefront in his chanting when the devotee has started to hear enough and start to awaken feelings of Krishna. So this is the goal, to think about Krishna when we're chanting, and there's different instructions given in the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam to get to this platform of being able to remember Krishna throughout the day and being able to chant all the time using the Maha Mantra as the anchor to keep the Lord's pastimes situated in our heart as we go about our daily business. So there's the instructions given in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita that are more general instructions, and then if there's a very, very fortunate soul who is in fact taking those instructions as Krishna's presenting them, and he's trying to go and endeavor for perfection, or take that topmost instruction that Krishna is giving in Gita, or just do everything for me, always think of me and meditate on me always. If somebody is trying for that, he will take up the life of a monk, and he will. If he can't just sit and think of Krishna always, then he'll come to the regulative principles and join the society, like Nathabar Prabhu was saying yesterday. But if he's very, very fortunate, he will get personal association with a very elevated Vaishnava. If he is trying for perfection in this life, Krishna may send, if Krishna sees in his heart that he's sincere, he may send an opportunity for him to serve a very pure Vaishnava. And then there will be some instructions from this pure Vaishnava, perhaps, if he's very fortunate, that are a little particular to his disciple. So the Guru can give specific instructions that pertain specifically to his disciple, that may not necessarily be good for somebody else to follow. It may not be their nature. But if he's spending intimate time with the Guru, sometimes special things like this are given. And when things like this are given, it's very much advised that the disciple takes that instruction and places it upon his head to make the most rapid advancement in his Krishna consciousness. And we can see a very nice example of this with Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Srila Prabhupada is saying that my Guru Maharaj said, whatever money there is, use it to print books. And he was very, very happy to print books. So do it very nicely. My Guru Maharaj used to say, go on printing, go on printing. I printed my books, now you do the same. So the Srila Prabhupada, he took this instruction to go to the West. This was more of a general instruction that Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was giving to the disciples, but Srila Prabhupada, he took it as a very personal instruction. So, and he took this up, and just like it was predicted, and Mahaprabhu predicted, Bhaktivinoda Thakur predicted, the Acharya came and to deliver the entire world, to give them the topmost bliss, to give them the reason why they're even here in this human body. So what is good for one, it may not be necessarily good for another. When I was speaking of these different instructions, the Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam gives general, and then the Guru may give specifics. So everything we need that is good for us, when we are situated just trying to do things for Krishna, will automatically come. We don't have to make a separate endeavor to achieve that at all. And this is our goal as devotees of Krishna, to try to realize this. It cannot be any other way, in fact. Since He's in the heart of all the different living entities, He knows exactly what we need in every circumstance, and He knows all of our desires. So that's why we have to have trust that this is my dear friend, this is my Lord, I've been with Him forever, and He's supplying everything I need. I have no reason to go elsewhere for anything independent of Him. So this is a symptom of surrender, our acharyas are teaching. I want you to be my only support. I want you to be my only maintainer, in fact. Sometimes when we don't have what we want, it's a good thing. Krishna arranges everything to come our way that is going to be helpful for us to come to Him. When we're sincere, this is just how it is. So one may want external opulence, but it may not be good for him. One may not want external opulence, but he's given so much of it, but he just uses it in the Lord's service. Otherwise, if we got the things we wanted always, we'd be forgetting Krishna much more. He arranges our life so we can remember Him more and more. And if we don't force ourselves to be dependent on the Lord in our conditioned state, whatever we do, it will come from a position of deep-rooted desire, which is rooted in lust. And that behavior, it will create a continuity of situations that we'll have to deal with in the future. So it's important to understand this. Everything will happen in time. The more we come out of illusion, the more we will feel the love that Krishna has for us. And the more we will be able to be used as a mirror, a reflection of that, and inspire others to do more for Krishna each day. It really this point of accepting the Lord as our only maintainer. It's very important in a devotee's life not to make separate maintenance. As soon as we do this really sincerely, we start really developing much more communion with the Lord. We're here in the temple serving them, and if we're really in a humble state of mood, I'm going to accept them as my only maintainer. And we do make steps towards that, and we make decisions, they'll always send us exactly what we need. It's very nice, and it's how a devotee develops more faith and reciprocation with the deities in the temple, with Srila Prabhupada, with the devotees in the community. Everything will be accomplished in proper time. Everything is just a question of mercy, in fact, and mercy is given. It's given from somebody who has it. Love of God, prema, is given from somebody who has prema. That's the only way to get it. You have to get it from someone who has it. So we have to be really receptive and eager to try to find and serve those Vaishnavas within the society who have it, those pure devotees in the ISKCON movement. It's important that we don't start developing like material feelings. When we start finding faults, we can know that these are coming from our material conditioned state. The material feelings, they will always keep us off of our meditation on Krishna. So whenever we're not able to think of Krishna, we know it's due to these feelings. And this is illusion to criticize any devotee or any jiva even, anyone. Everyone is situated in relationship with Krishna to where they're at right now, and they can improve, they can continue degrading themselves. But there's an injunction given in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the pastime of Ramachandra Puri, where the injunction given, Srila Prabhupada, he mentions in a purport that there's two injunctions that are given in the Bhagavatam. There's Purva Vidhi and there's Para Vidhi. And both of these things, the devotee, it is stated we should restrain from doing. In fact, one of them praising and one of them criticizing a devotee. So it's said that both of these are important to help develop this equiposed vision. The great and learned Brahmana, he sees with an equal vision, right? Although Mahaprabhu, he did teach us that praising, and in the Bhagavatam states that praising the devotee, this principle, or praising somebody, it can be neglected. But of these two, criticizing and praising, you should not criticize anyone, in fact. It's given. So this is the situation that Ramachandra Puri ran into. It's so incredible, in fact, the different ways that we concoct that we're getting satisfaction in this material world. It's really incredible. Ramachandra Puri, externally, he dressed as a sannyasi, and he was a brahmana, and he was a disciple, in fact, of Ishvara Puri, same guru as Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya, he respected him as such, but he had some things in his character where he started getting satisfaction, I guess, from finding different faults in different devotees. And in fact, it became that he was almost like out on a mission to find faults in what Mahaprabhu and his devotees were doing. And so he was criticizing him in different ways. And this actually at first started from an offense that he made to his Guru Maharaj. So we can learn from this that it all starts from offenses to Guru on a subtle level, subtle or gross. A lot of the fall downs and the material-based thinking and reverting back into our material nature, it's stemming from these things. The Guru, offenses to Guru, at least this is one way it can. So he was with his Guru Madhavendra Puri. I'm sorry. He was a disciple of Ishvara Puri, right? Or Madhavendra Puri. Yeah, thank you. I think I accidentally said Ishvara Puri earlier. So he was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri, and he was with Madhavendra Puri in his late stage, and Ishvara Puri was taking care of him, Madhavendra Puri, in his late age, and he was doing very menial tasks for him, such as cleaning his place after, and helping him upkeep his body. And when Ramachandra Puri came and he saw the state of his Gurudev, Madhavendra Puri was in a state of lamenting so much. He was lamenting in separation from Krishna. And when Ramachandra Puri saw this, he was perceiving it as some type of material lamentation, and he was correcting his Gurudev, or saying, Guru, why lament? Why don't you just think of Brahman? And Madhavendra Puri totally chastised him like anything. He's like, get out of here, you rascal. Like, how dare you tell me to think of Brahman when I'm here in ecstasy, meditating in separation on the divine couple. He was meditating in a way. There's the very famous verse. In fact, this is a verse that Srimati Radharani speaks in Lamentation when Krishna leaves for Mathura, and also Madhavendra Puri Prabhu was reciting this in his late stages. And also Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was reciting this verse over and over. This is the verse that my name comes from, in fact, from this pastime. So this verse is, O my Lord, O most merciful Master, O Master of Mathura, when shall I see you again? Because of my not seeing you, my agitated heart has become unsteady. O most beloved one, what shall I do now? So this is how his Gurudev was meditating, and he was crying. Tears of ecstasy meditating like this, and his disciple had a big misunderstanding. So due to this offense, he was sent away, and he lived, Ramachandra Puri, he was living a life wandering from place to place. He would sometimes come and sometimes go, and he would say, this is how I exhibit my opulence of renunciation. Sometimes I'm in town and sometimes I'm away. So he would come and go, and in all of his dealings, he started finding different faults in the devotees. And so he fell into this business of criticizing others. When Lord Chaitanya was taking his normal amount of prasadam with the devotees, because their program was to chant, dance, and feast all the time. So that's what they were doing, and wherever Ramachandra Puri would go, he would have a big feast, and he would encourage the devotee who he was with to take up to the neck, and then he would criticize them for eating too much. And so when he did this to Mahaprabhu stopped eating. He only was taking like a quarter of what he would usually take. And when he only started taking a quarter of what he would usually take, the devotees around him, they became very distraught. As you can imagine, if being with Gurudev, if you're with him and he doesn't want to take much prasadam and you're serving his prasadam, you yourself, you're like, I don't want to take prasadam now, and then you just go without. So this is the predicament that Lord Chaitanya's devotees were in. If their master wasn't going to take prasadam, why am I going to? So the devotees weren't even honoring prasadam. And Lord Chaitanya, he said, you guys can go fill your bellies somewhere else. I'm not going to take much today. And they were just very, very distraught over the whole situation. And then when Ramachandra Puri heard about this, because as we were talking about the fame, it travels very fast, especially about the saint. When Madhavendra Puri, when they heard about him and his glories, and Gopinath leaving the pot of sweet rice for him, immediately he left town because he knew people would know, and he didn't want to be known. He didn't want fame. So transcendental fame, it's the best kind of fame, being known as the Lord's great devotee. So this travels very fast. So in this way, news about Mahaprabhu traveled very fast. So when Ramachandra Puri heard this news that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not taking much prasadam anymore, he went to go visit him. And he found fault in this as well. He said, well, a sannyasi shouldn't eat too little or too much. You're not, taking the right amount. And then also, I think it was the second time where there was ants, right, in Mahaprabhu's room. And there were little ants crawling. Ants, they're everywhere. Ants are everywhere in the world. We can find them anywhere. But Ramachandra Puri saw ants, and he immediately saw that, oh, this sannyasi, he's hiding sweetmeats. So he's got a stash of sweets in his room somewhere. So he started criticizing him for that. Oh, you're eating sweets in secret. But Mahaprabhu, he stayed completely humble, and he just really praised him and took a humble position, and he just kind of behaved in such a way, it set a perfect example. And then as soon as Ramachandra Puri left town, the devotees, they just carried out back their usual schedule of chanting, dancing, feasting, discussing the Lord's pastimes in the evenings. Like that. So, to criticize a devotee, it's not a habit that we want to come into. And we can, in fact, if we are in the habit, if the mind is in a habit of it, we can just reverse it in our mind. And eventually, like, that habit will become a vehicle for remembering Krishna even more after some time of practicing that reversal. So this next text, 54, the whole city was decorated with columns of banana trees containing bunches of fruits and flowers, and betel nut trees with leaves and branches were seen here and there. There were also many gates set up, which were structured to give the appearance of sharks. So this is a shloka talking about the welcoming of Dhruva. He's on a she-elephant with his brother. So they're on the back of this she-elephant. I don't know if I mentioned this. This is tying in the elephant and the maintenance. Prabhupada would often give the example of an elephant requires 100 to 400 pounds a day for his maintenance. So to think that we need to make some endeavor, separate endeavor for our own maintenance is really hard to believe. So he was riding on the back of a she-elephant who requires so much for maintenance, and it's describing the cities, and it's describing that there's columns in the city. So this is the city of King Uttanapad, who was a ruler in the dynasty of Swayambhuva Manu, and it's being described here. This is in Bharadvarsh. It's not like a city that we have here in New York. Here in New York, there's these big buildings, and everyone is paying so much money to just be stacked on top of each other, and it's like a concrete jungle here. But in the Vedic times, the cities, they were so beautiful. There's so many descriptions of Vrindavan that our acharyas give that are, in fact, all these descriptions, it is said, cannot even do it justice, the actual place of Vrindavan, because it is so beautiful. These cities in the Vedic time, we see they use natural things to decorate. They use different banana trees, different palm leaves, different flowers, garlands, so many nice, colorful festivities. Whereas in this day and age, all of our focus and attention is on like artificial things like strobe lights, TVs, screens, taking us away from nature, plastic flowers. Srila Prabhupada said that those shouldn't be used in deity worship, right? It's a cheap imitation. All of the parties that are thrown in the material world, it's how much Maya can I fit to the shortest amount of time. But all of the parties thrown in the Vedic society, it's how many activities can I center around giving pleasure to Krishna. It's really an amazing thing. And all of the ways that the devotees prepare so nicely for the festivals, making sweets together, or painting mandalas on the floor, like we have outside, wonderful decoration on the floor. I guarantee every person that walks by, there's nowhere else in New York City that does that. Everyone that walks by, I've seen so many people look at the building like, what is that place? Just because the little bits of the Vedic culture that we allow to shine through in the material world, it really lights up the dark, dark place that is the material world. I remember when I started first going to Hindu temples around like 13 or 14 years old, I was so attracted of the different decorations. And I was raised in like a Roman Catholic background, going to Catholic school for like 12 years, boys' Catholic school. And I was very interested in other philosophies and had questions like that about God. And I was very drawn towards the Vedic. I was thinking a big reason was probably the decorations at a young age. I was seeing, wow, the flowers are so nice. And there's so much nice prasadam, so much, the culture, it's just so vibrant and bright. Everything in the material world, it's so like bleak and dark and gray. So it really shows, and all of the things being made of nature, it requires maintenance much more. These things that are pleasing to Krishna, they require devotees to be involved in a community to maintain them. So we see the wonderful Sri Sri Radha Govinda, they're dressed wonderfully every day in brand new garlands, brand new cloth, turbans, dress. Each day, it takes so many devotees to maintain that. And that gives the devotee so much time to engage in Krishna's service and hear about him. That's one of the other beauties of our festivals and all of these decorations. And it gives, you can give your time to Krishna. Krishna is time. You can give your time to him. And in that way, you don't have idle time. And they say that the idle time is a devil's workshop. So the devotees, they're always engaged in the service of Krishna. They don't engage in, they don't fall down into material activities because they have all of this nice engagement. Whereas once, if you spend a bunch of money or time in strobe lights and technology to distract you from things and go to a material party, it's just the opposite. It's just destruction. That kind of stuff, it's there for some time and then it just destroys. Anyway, so the festivals are very absorbing, and we try to bring Vrindavan atmosphere here. We try to cultivate our consciousness. What is consciousness? What does this word consciousness mean? It's what is within our mind. We try to cultivate Vrindavan consciousness. We try to hear about what are the devotees doing in Vrindavan. How are they serving Krishna? We're chanting his names. We're reading about him. What is it that they do in order to serve him? And the devotees, they try to follow in their footsteps and bring that here, wherever they are, even if they're not able to physically reside in Vrindavan at the present moment. It's very interesting. Many of our acharyas, they have different moods. All of them, and all of their moods, if they're properly situated with Krishna, are perfect. But they could be drastically different moods. I mean, there's devotees who know they're in Vrindavan consciousness, so they're here in New York. They're able to see it as non-different than Braj. Srila Prabhupada came here, there's so many holy tirthas here that he installed, and he carried out so many sacred pastimes here with the Lord and his devotees. So they can see that, and they see that there's no greater glory than being here in New York and giving the pure name to the people in general. That's so glorious. Other Vaishnavas have the mood of just leave everything and go to Braj. If you're in, we're practicing this, there's so much benefit of going to Braj. You get way more spiritual benefit. So others are in the mood of using their lazy intelligence and going and carrying out there. But not everybody can do that. It's an austere life. It's difficult. And it's earned. We can all buy plane tickets to Braj, but we all can't enter internally into Braj. Everyone can read the books, but not everyone can see Krishna. Everyone can chant the names. That's why the name is more merciful than Krishna himself. Because not everyone can come face to face with Krishna himself, but everyone can chant his names. Everyone can glorify him. Everyone can sing, right? Everyone has the propensity to dance and hear nice music and eat nice prasadam and laugh, tell jokes with the devotees, hear nice stories about Krishna. Everyone can do this. It's everyone's natural position. So if we awaken to our natural position, we realize that Krishna came here to do just that, and to give us just the perfect amount of pastimes to relish before he leaves. And now it's our job to relish them and continue those pastimes. Mahaprabhu was just here 500 years ago. When we're living in the temple, it's a lot easier to see. It's just a continuation of Mahaprabhu's movement, what we're doing. It's a bit harder to see that when you're living away, at least for me. But when you're there with the devotees, everyone is so enlivened to talk about Krishna. That cheekish blue boy. It's like, who plays the flute? Okay, everyone's so patient in hearing me ramble on. Does anyone have any nice comments or questions? I feel like someone else should speak. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for your wonderful explanation of this verse. When you were explaining about the spiritual master, directly consulting and taking instructions from the spiritual master. Here in the present scenario also, where we are, we are always, we cannot approach the spiritual master directly. So, and we take more or less instructions or guidance for our practice through senior devotees who are approachable. So, how should one be like so serious about taking instructions directly from spiritual master, or like taking this thing, considering, because he's not, most of the time spiritual masters are traveling around and not approachable. So can you just throw some light on this one?
That's a very nice question, Prabhu. Guru Tattva is a very complex subject to understand, as we know. And for myself personally, I'm a big part of my Krishna consciousness I have spent living specifically with my spiritual master. So I'm maybe not the best person to ask this question. But we can understand that he gives blessings to hear and take shelter from certain devotees. At least in my life, this is what has happened. So whenever I have kind of felt that I have wandered away from being in the association of a devotee that is under that blessing or guidance, I feel the desire to want to go back under that shelter. Because it's a little hard often to have the trust on a deep level that this is, without a specific instruction from your spiritual master to take this person as your authority, that this is an exact instruction from Krishna, that this is what I should be doing. So the main thing is if you're in a temple, is consulting your guru about what is most pleasing to you in carrying out at this temple. And usually he will say, take direction from your superiors there. So then he shows you specifically that this person, your spiritual authority, is acting as he's empowered to act as a representative of me during this time when you're not specifically with me. So the devotee, he will perceive this differently depending on his consciousness and his just where he is at and how he is able to take instruction from spiritual authority. Ideally, we should follow what Guru wants. So we have to do what he says. He will instruct according. In our case, I'm sure in your case, your Guru Maharaj has given blessings. Okay, so take direction from your spiritual authority. Serve in this way, or maybe he's given you some instruction to do puja, or so you're a pujari, you're rendering service for the temple community in that way, or whatever it may be. Whether it's direct or indirect, it's a little beside the point, because it's both absolute, the service to Guru. So the more we can make the connection to direct service to Guru, the better, in the way I see it. And we can make that connection if we're here with him personally or not. We can make that connection, depending on our qualification. connection with Guru in the heart. But it's a pretty complex thing to understand. It's a very nice question, and perhaps another devotee is more qualified to answer, but thank you for asking. Mother, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. While you were speaking, there were two things that came to my mind when you were speaking about using natural materials in our, particularly in deity worship, or when we're decorating for festivals. I'm a teacher, so of course I'm thinking about education and teaching a lot. So I was thinking in terms of that way. There's several pedagogies teaching methodologies that use a lot of natural materials. And, I've worked in different school settings where some use, the plastic or everything like that, and other settings where they use more natural elements. And you really can, and even in that setting, notice, the consciousness that, affects the individual. So similarly, I can definitely understand that the consciousness, while using natural materials in the temple environment also, or anything that we do, would also be, the same. The other thought that I was having when you were talking about seeing Vrindavan everywhere, I was remembering a class. This was a while ago. Somehow it stuck for me. I think Natabar Prabhu was giving the class, and he was saying how when Ram Rai Prabhu first came to New York, he would, think about the skyscrapers as, the trees in Vrindavan. I just always thought that was such a nice kind of, I'm not in that consciousness probably, but at least for me, it's a nice meditation, to think about it in that way. And yeah.
Wow, thank you so much for your comments. It reminded me, I know a few Maharajas who they really like I have some god brothers, really pay attention to this, having natural elements in their space of bhajan. It's really important. When we're conducting puja and we're worshiping Krishna with our life and everything, there's different subtleties in this process that are given in some scriptures. So the natural elements, they do definitely have an effect, especially on things like carrying out puja, because you're dealing with the different energies and you're inviting specific energies to be present there and surcharged. So yeah, it definitely has a great effect on the atmosphere. And the more we're moving away from that, we're seeing that the intelligence is being covered over more and more by these screens. And if they're being improperly used, all of these technologies and all these tools are starting to be used by the materialists for improper means, so it's dulling the consciousness. Whereas when we use the tools, whether they're natural or artificial, for the proper means, they will raise our consciousness. But I'm sure even blackboards or smartboards, I'm sure you can notice the difference because you're working very closely with a lot of people. Okay, anything else? Yes, Prabhu?
One quick comment or question, I don't know, it's more a comment. You said the more a devotee gets out of illusion, the more he's able to, or she is able to love or serve Krishna. Was that a personal realization, or does that come from Shastra or Guru particularly?
Well, it's certainly not a personal realization because I'm completely in illusion. It's certainly not a personal realization because I'm completely just in illusion. But no, it's from Shastra. Yes, yes, this is very true. We're in illusion so much that we can't even see it. We're in this forest lost, and we can't even tell that we're in a forest lost. So the more we read and chant, we'll gradually be able to see so many incongruencies in our behavior and so many things that we need to work on. And the more we remember Krishna, He'll give us the ability to do that and take more shelter of Him. And then we'll be able to love Him, and the love will manifest more and more in our heart until it's pouring out where everyone we meet gets infected by that love. Thanks for the question. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
Where Lord Chaitanya is glorifying Haridas Thakur, and it says it was as if he had 5 mouths when he was glorifying. And also, when he was glorifying Rupa Goswami, it's also described he was speaking as if he had 5 mouths. Where did you say that you said some acharya said that to praise a devotee is the most blissful activity in the universe?
I've been trying to find this. I came across it a little while ago. I've been trying to find it this week, the specific verse, but I can't find the specific one. I'll have to work on it a little more.
Okay,
and
no
get
worries.
back to you.
And they're talking about that we should depend on Krishna, not make so many material plans. I've been traveling around trying to promote the daily Harinam Sankirtan in public, and I've gone to Europe every year since 2001, and I go to Florida every winter, and I go to New York every fall. But nobody pays for any of these particular flights. It's just people give me little donations here and there, and it adds up enough so I can do all these things. So I get a sense that Krishna approves of my program, and he's financing it.
Jai Haribol. So we have living proof here in the temple. Krishna provides for his surrendered devotees in all situations. So nice. And even, I'm sure in your travels, Prabhu, I'm sure you've incurred maybe a little difficulty, but you can see when those difficulties come that there's a great lesson that Krishna is trying to show you. Because he only sends the difficulty or the success in the endeavor according to what is going to be best to come to him. So special. Thanks for sharing, Prabhu. Anyone else? Yes?
How do we avoid this mentality or this thing of not criticizing? Because whenever we see any fault, it's always a natural tendency that we want to bring it out to the peer, to the devotee, or to one who is committing that thing. Rather than glorifying the devotee or glorifying the person. It's generally like when we see a fault, it's like very natural that we want to either bring it to the person or bring it to. So how do we avoid it, or how do we overcome this tendency?
And a very nice question. I was invited to speak a few weeks ago, and I gave this response to this question. That I found personally, this anartha of like fault finding, I had to reverse the role. I had to completely flip it. So whenever the propensity to find fault, like a devotee is playing offbeat in the kirtan, kartals, he can't follow or something. So you want to analyze and like kind of correct, right? You want to find fault, but then you see if you were thinking of Krishna and this happens, and it's offbeat, and you're finding fault in this devotee for not being able to follow the right beat for kartals, are you currently thinking of Krishna? No, that time when you were thinking of Krishna is in the past, and now the time now is you're thinking of this fault in this devotee. So, like actively flipping it to like immediately glorify that devotee for sitting there, and he could be doing any other activity in the entire universe, but he's sitting there chanting the names of God with love. So what a glorious person. It doesn't matter if he's off a second in the beat for the kartal. And then actually that meditation of flipping the role and using some apparent fault that you found to flipping it and using it to glorify the devotee, it becomes a vehicle to take your Krishna consciousness further, because then you're glorifying the devotee, and you're thinking of all the nice service he's doing, and then Krishna becomes even more pleased, and then your meditation on Krishna, it's not brought away from him, it goes further in the kirtan rather than like being away from it. So at first it's not easy. It'll be forced, just like paying obeisances. Prabhupada gave the example. We have to pay obeisances. In the temple room, one devotee said, "I don't want to," and pay obeisances, but he said, "But you have to. You have to force it." So getting rid of the different anarthas, it's going to have to be forced sometimes, and we're going to have to recognize the behavior and the mentality that we have in our conditioned state, and we have to actively make steps in the direction to change it in order to overcome these. And it's done by remembering the glories of Krishna and his devotees. So that's what has helped me in that situation. And I know we're a little over, but I can tell a small pastime in relation to this that I experienced with my Guru Maharaj when living with him. So we would have many bhaktas come through the temple, and one day we met one out on Harinam, and he was a little bit in a intoxicated state when we met him. I think he was on drugs or drinking or something, and he really actually came and took up to the process quite well, and he was really into it. So he came back to the temple, and he started plugging into the Bhakta program, and for a few days he went about doing the program, getting up with the monks, and you could tell he was having a little bit of a hard time with his previous conditionings, but he was sticking it out and kind of, forcing it a little, and really, really trying to do everything for Krishna. And in these, I think he was there 3 or 4 days. In these few days, he made a lot of advancement, it seemed. I mean, often the bhaktas that we would meet, they would come and they would go under the program that Prabhupada wanted Maharaj to teach, and they would just plug in, and it was just in days you could see big difference, big progress. And this would be the most pleasing thing to Maharaj, at least that's how I perceived it, because that's his service to his Guru. So naturally he was so pleased when bhaktas would come. And so it came one night after Gaur Arati, and we put the boys to rest. I was the pujari at the time. I wasn't a bhakta program leader, so I wasn't staying with the bhaktas. And the bhakta, he quietly packed his stuff up in the night and he left. And because there's a strict atmosphere there where I was at, and this was common sometimes. Some people couldn't do it. It was just too much on their ego and whatnot. So when I didn't see him when I was doing Mangala Arati in the morning, I did see him come to Mangala Arati. I asked my friend who was the Bhakti program leader, where's our friend? And he said, oh, he left when everyone was sleeping. And some of us were a little brought back. We were upset, because he was such a cool guy, and he was new, and we just wanted to help him. And so we went and presented the situation before Maharaj. And I was there when we presented, and we said, well, how could we have done better? What did we do? This bhakta left. Maharaj goes, you can never understand the mind of a pure devotee. And he was talking about this brand new bhakta, and I couldn't see it at the time. But that little situation, it helped me so much, cultivate a different space of vision towards others and towards the new bhakta. Who knows who we're talking to, in this movement? Who knows? Who knows some guy off the street? Who knows his advancement previously? And so keeping this in mind as well can also really help us overcome that kind of fault-finding mentality. It's a very elevated vision. It's the vision of the Uttamadhikari. We can't artificially jump to that platform, but having such an example, it's certainly impacted, Yes, Prabhu.
Just very quickly, because we're over time. I read in the Chaitanya Bhagavat recently, Lord Chaitanya said, my wish-fulfilling holy names destroy one who blasphemes my servant. All living entities in the innumerable universes are my servants. So anyone who blasphemes any living entity is ruined.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's pretty heavy. And there's Bhaktisiddhanta, he gives a definition of to attribute faults when faults are not present is called ninda or blasphemy. So if we criticize, not knowing a situation, we criticize somebody for a fault they don't have, that counts as blasphemy. So that's something to consider.
Jai. Thank you, Prabhu. I had brought this point up to my Guru Maharaj one time, and we gave some examples. Nitai, he gives so many examples in Chaitanya Bhagavat of his different dealings, of where he's not even criticizing, you know, so many different ways, like the wine drinking sannyasi. He doesn't criticize. He doesn't criticize so many, and yeah, I did bring it up. So I presented the question. So is it that this is the vision that we should aspire for, and that's what he was kind of saying, was this is the Uttama Adhikari platform. You know, even Madhyama Adhikari is a very, very high level of vision. So to be at Kanishta and jump is one thing, but to actually, you know, develop it over a lifetime of vision is another. But yeah, this is what Nitai wanted us to do. He wouldn't see faults in anyone. No discrimination in who you present this to, because this is the medicine to clean the heart, and our heart is dirty. So how can you criticize somebody if they're in the shower for being dirty? You just can't do it. So Hare Krishna, everyone. Thanks for patiently hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.